If you also get excited about weird stuff like this, you should sauce me a follow for more. And send this to your friends so I can hit them with the classic boo Glacier jump scare.
The classic Glacier jump scare. New Milo video opens Glacier jump scare scream.
Hi YouTube, welcome back in hell. My name is Cypress and today we'll be watching some more videos by Miniminuteman. If you like today's videos, please don't forget to subscribe to Miniminuteman.
This bird domesticated humans.
Oh.
What does that even mean? Awesome question.
I got domesticated?
This little bird is native to Africa and it's called the honey guide. Despite its name, it doesn't actually
That's such a cute name.
eat honey, but it does eat beeswax and larvae. But this
Close enough.
bird has a bit of a problem. It's so small that getting stung by a bunch of bees could be fatal. So it developed a form of rudimentary tool usage in order to break into the hives. The tool it found was humans. The honey guide is really good at finding hives, and humans are really good at getting into them. So humans and this bird developed a symbiotic relationship.
Because we use them to get the honey, and they use us to get the other
It
stuff.
works like this. A honey guide will perch on a branch and make a unique chattering call to get a human's attention. Then it'll fly ahead, make the call again, and wait for the person to follow. They continue doing this until they reach a beehive, at which point humans are able to access the hive using smoke and tools. Humans get first dibs on the honey, and the wax and larvae left behind go to their honey guide. But here's the most amazing part of this whole thing. Some believe that this relationship is absolutely ancient. The sound that a honey guide makes when leading a human to honey is not used for anything else.
Oh,
The
really?
humans that live alongside them have an entirely different sound that they can make in order to call the birds to them. This indicates that this is a highly developed relationship, some suggesting that it dates back more than 100,000 years, and others believing that this relationship may have begun with our ancient ancestors Homo erectus. It's one of the most ancient and unique relationships we have with any animal and is still practiced to this day.
That is really interesting and cute.
No, doom scrolling right now makes you feel like the world is just a horrible place, but hopefully this made it a little bit brighter. If you want more
did.
nice little things like this to interrupt the horrors in the future, sauce me a follow so you don't lose me. Send this to a friend that you domesticate.
God damn it! A friend you would domesticate, Jesus. The world's first sugar daddy was a bird. Bird discovered humans are friend-shaped.
How this plant changed the world.
How's that doom scroll treating you? That stuff all looks absolutely horrible. I know we're literally living in hell right now, but maybe if you want to hang out for a sec, I can
Hey, hell's nice.
I live in hell, so that means it's a good place.
tell you about this gourd. This is a bottle gourd. It's very interesting
Bottle
to me.
gourd.
There's evidence that they were the very first plant that humanity ever domesticated.
Oh.
Archaeological evidence in Africa showing their cultivation dating back 12,000 years. I mean when I say that these things literally changed the world. But why? What's so great about them? Most of the time we domesticate a plant because we want to eat it. But the bottle gourd is one of only a few plants we've domesticated for a utilitarian purpose. That purpose is, of course, drying them out and making a vessel. The reason these little shits were all the rage
Is that the bottle?
time is because this was before the invention of pottery. For the first time, giving humanity an infinite source of containers that could be used
That's
to
what
carry
it
things
is.
like water.
I remember seeing those shaped bottles in like another media. I never realized that that's what it is.
Since being able to like carry fresh water with you is super OP, the bottle gourd spread all over the place in just a couple thousand years. There's actually a little bit of a mystery behind this thing, because there's evidence of it appearing in Central and South America about 10,000 years ago. For a long time, people thought this was because seeds were literally carried across the Bering Land Bridge by people. But recent studies show that what probably happened is some of them fell into the ocean, and because they're just balls, they floated
Just
across the
balls.
ocean and washed up on shore here, and then they just took root. Which is even more amazing, because this means when the humans in South America found them, they independently looked at these and were like, damn,
That's
that
a
would make
bottle.
a really great bottle.
Yeah.
Then just domesticated.
I mean, to be fair, if I saw that, I would probably also think, damn, that's a good bottle.
them for a second time on a totally different continent. These things were humanity's best friend for thousands of years, but when pottery was invented, they were sort of rendered obsolete. So even though they're mostly just ornamental now, we'd be nothing without the bottle gourd. All right, you
Thank
can go
you,
back to your
bottle
doom scroll
gourd.
now, but if you want more fun facts to break the monotony of horror in the future, shoot me a follow so you don't lose me. And share this with a friend who's destroying their mental health watching short-form videos.
Milo considered this. These gourds are not shaped like bottles. The gourds came first, thus bottles are shaped like gourds. Hey! I love when plants like gourds and coconuts just fall into the oceans and get swept to a different continent like, okay, I guess I'm growing over here now. Then they make a really good bottle. What's a bottle? Predating pottery is a wild concept that I'd never really considered. I never really thought about like, hey, there was a time when pottery wasn't really a thing. What did he use?
Why no one lives here?
If Mothman's real, he's probably here, because this
By Big South Fork National River and Creation, this is America.
is one of the most rural parts of Appalachia that most people have never heard
Appalachia.
of. They're called the Crab Orchard Mountains in Tennessee, and they're almost completely devoid of people. You can see that there's practically no population centers. There's Petros to the south. It has a population of about 450 people, And to the north, there's Montgomery, which is even smaller and doesn't even really have a listed population anywhere. And other than that, they are almost completely empty. But you probably noticed something else strange.
Do I? Do I notice something else strange? No.
Why does it look like that? When you look at it in the context of the Appalachians, it looks completely out of place. Almost everything around it looks like this. It's like an almost perfect circle. And the reason why is a little...
Now that you mention it, I didn't really... I guess, yeah, it does look like a circle.
Almost everything around it looks like this. It's like an almost perfect circle. And the reason why is a little bizarre. These mountains are sort of a cross-section of squeezed and folded crust. Each layer erodes at a different rate, leaving behind these ridges. But the Crab Orchard Mountains are the remains of a plateau, and so their layers were never folded. This is the Grand Canyon, but it's like the same concept. Over time, water eroded through these layers, creating a mountain range from a flat-ish surface, meaning that these mountains weren't pushed up, but carved down. This resulted in the interior of the mountains becoming rugged and difficult to traverse, and explains how its unique geology has allowed this area to remain one of the most rural parts of Appalachia to this day. Send this to a friend that you'd hunt Mothman with. And if you like cool stuff like this, sauce me a follow for more.
Oh, wait. So why is he here? Probably because we can't really go there? Did he just bait us with a cryptid so we'd watch the whole thing? Yes, he did. But that's illegal. I was waiting for an explanation about Mothman because I don't know who Mothman is or what it is. So I guess I will just Google it now. Mothman. In American folklore, Mothman is the name given to a humanoid creature that was reportedly seen around Point Pleasant, West Virginia from November 15, 1966 to December 15, 1967. So people actually claim to have seen it. Despite its name, the original sightings of the creature described avian features. The first newspaper report was published in the Point Pleasant Register dated November 16, 1966, titled "Couple See Man-Sized Bird, Creature, Something." The national press soon picked up the reports and helped spread the story across the United States. The source of the legend is believed to have originated from sightings of out-of-migration sandhill cranes or herons. Mothman here. What the f, dude? Now I gotta move again. Bro ducks the Mothman. Let the guy drink fermented nectar cider in peace, man. Joe Rogan says more insane stuff.
What? Joe Rogan's saying something stupid? Who can we even trust anymore? It's not documentation of people finding giants, it's documentation of people thinking that they found giants. That still begs a question. Why did so many people think that they found giants? This map shows every giant discovery in America. And we're not made by archaeologists.
Wait, there are so many?
But by random people who were looting Native American graves as the empire expanded west. Since these were just random people, when they would discover bones, or should I say steal, grave rob, they had no idea what they were talking about, and so they made all kinds of mistakes that led them to believe they were from giants. My absolute favorite of these stupid mistakes comes from this guy, John T. Reed. He's the one responsible for probably the most famous giant discovery in North America at Lovelock Cave in Nevada, home to a race of cannibalistic red-headed giants. Reed proved that the cave was home to a race of giants by measuring femur bones. He found a 16-inch femur that he said belonged to someone that was 7'7", and an 18-inch femur that he said belonged to someone that was 9'6". Sounds pretty scientific, right? Wrong. Reed was a moron. See, the average human femur is about 17 inches. Reed got these estimates by measuring the femurs against his own leg. But because he has no background in this, he fucked it up massively. He was measuring his own femur from about his knee to his crotch, but the femur goes all the way from your knee to a socket in your hip. This is also what happens when you Google image search person. So when he measured these bones, he was producing a 4 to 6 inch error. That didn't matter, he published it anyway. And conspiracy theorists still cite it as evidence. This guy pisses me off so much that I had to make a full video debunking the entire Lovelock Cave conspiracy. If you're ready to stop doom scrolling but still need a background noise, come check it out, YouTube channel Miniminuteman. Hey, almost 3 mil.
There's an innuendo to be made somewhere in there about a man measuring legs and greatly exaggerating the length. Being off by 4 to 6 inches. 4 to 6 inch error would be a devastating nickname that your girlfriend has for you. I also am the proud owner of a 4 to 6 inch error. Each bottle is worth $50,000.
Would you drink this? No? Well, would it change your mind if I told you that it's been described as having notes of animal, wet hair, and cheese?
And still no? Why would it become yes? Why did you think it would become yes?
Would you drink it then?
No!
Still no? Okay, wow, damn, I really gotta work on that pitch. So why would one of these disgusting bottles of champagne sell at auction for almost $50,000?
Yeah, why? What the fuck?
It's because these bottles were found in an almost 200-year-old shipwreck.
Okay.
In 2003, the wreck of a 2-masted schooner was found off the coast of Finland, and a dive team was sent to investigate it in 2010. They couldn't determine the identity of the vessel, but it appeared to have sunk in the early to mid-1800s, and the cold water of the Baltic Sea had almost perfectly preserved its cargo, among which were 145 bottles of champagne, corks still intact, and even from a few brands that still exist today. Somehow, the bottles were still safe to drink, even though it initially tasted probably not great.
Initially, the expert described the Baltic wines with words such as animal notes, wet hair, and cheesy. However, after wine was swirled a bit in the glass, providing some much-needed oxygen, it took a whole new character. Once it had a chance to breathe, the champagne was described as grilled, spicy, smoky, and leathery. I don't know if leathery is a good taste. Accompanied by fruity notes, according to the paper. Okay, so it wasn't that it actually has wet hair in it. I thought that for a second when the video just started.
With the addition of oxygen, it tasted unlike any other champagne in the world. Because of their unique flavor and limited
I mean, I still won't drink it because I don't drink champagne.
stock, these bottles became something beyond a luxury item, with one selling at auction in 2011 for 30,000 euros, which adjusted for inflation is 40,000 euros or 48,000 USD for a single bottle of champagne. While these particular bottles could never be replicated, their unique flavors have inspired champagne producers to begin experimenting with underwater aging. Leading this effort in a kind of beautiful, full circle way is one of the very brands whose bottles were found on this wreck. If you like weird stuff like this, sauce me a follow for more.
This is interesting,
though. The animal hair cheese drink.
Share this with a friend that you drink the animal hair cheese drink with. Oh my god. I wouldn't drink that, but it's for sure a cool ass bottle. It is. A fool and his money are soon parted. Rich people would find anything to spend their money on except their damn taxes.
Deep sea life is insane.
Dude, what the? Oh my god.
What is that?
You gotta be kidding me. Nature thought it could make the bullshit animal and we wouldn't notice.
The bullshit animal? Wait, what is it? Wait, is that like some kind of jellyfish?
Bullshit animal and we wouldn't notice. I was like, Milo, I'm obsessed with this thing. You should make a video about it. Why would you be obsessed with this thing? I can't imagine. I look at this and I think that it is something that God never intended us to lay eyes upon. It's called Praya dubia and it's one of the
Praya dubia?
longest organisms on Earth.
You know what? I don't like it. No.
It looks a lot bigger in person, I swear. So somehow the worst part isn't that it can grow to be more than 100 feet long. It's the fact that it isn't even just...
Wait, what is 130 meters? 30.48 meters? Oh my god. People keep asking me every time when I'm like on Google or something.
Cyprus, are you Dutch?
Yeah, now you know.
It's the fact that it isn't even just one animal. It's a giant chain of genetically distinct individual organisms that come together to form whatever this is. And each one of the little animals called a zooid serves a different purpose. Some of them catch and digest food, and then entire other organisms are the excretory system, a creature whose sole purpose is to be an ass. Awesome. So each of the little animals works together to share resources for the whole colony. It's like a giant communist tentacle, which sounds awesome in concept, and then you look at it and it's the worst thing you've ever seen in your life. It's part of
I have to say, the more I hear about it, the more awful it becomes.
The whole family of deep sea animals called Siphonophore, which is just bullshit of different shapes and sizes. It's really hard to study these things because they live in realms that man was never meant to tread, which honestly is totally okay with me. I could go the rest of my life never seeing this again, and I would die a happy man. If you like weird stuff like this, you should sauce me a follow for more. And send this to your friend that you'd pick to be the ass creature next to you.
Ass creature. Dude, what creatures get up to when the only evolutionary pressure is don't starve?
This flesh-eating plant is horrifying.
You're looking at one of the scariest carnivorous plants in the world. When you think of a carnivorous plant, they normally eat little bugs, but this is a flesh-eating plant.
Oh.
It's called Puya chilensis, and it's a giant bromeliad native to the arid coasts of Chile.
So it would eat you.
They grow very slowly because of their harsh environment, and it can take upwards of 25 years to produce one of these flowers. The sparse resources have given them immense evolutionary pressure to survive by any means necessary. These are the leaves of Puya chilensis. You'll notice the edges of these leaves are covered in these small hooks. These spines likely evolved to deter grazing animals. When it takes more than 20 years to flower, you don't need to risk being eaten in a couple minutes by a hungry animal. These spines have also come with a second benefit. Some grazing animals will become so entangled in these spines that they can't escape. And as they decompose, they add nutrients to the soil at the base of the plant. Biologists are still debating whether or not this is a feature or a bug, and its true status as a carnivorous plant is contentious. You don't need to be a biologist to see that a plant that gets more nutrients will survive better than the others, meaning that given time, survival of the fittest could select for plants that kill the most sheep. If you think our planet's as cool as I do, sauce me a follow for more. Send this to a friend to ensnare them in a Puya chilensis.
A friend of you would pull into that? I don't know. Are you guys really friends if you want to do that?
It's Protocarnivorous, not carnivorous. It doesn't digest its own prey. It relies on other decomposer organisms to do the job for it.
Oh. have no scientist, but I can assure you it's certainly not a bug. It's clearly a plant. What is a graveyard receiving fault? What?
If you grew up exploring old cemeteries,
I did not, I guess.
you've probably noticed one of these. A single vault that stands out from the others. Sometimes they're super elaborate, or built into a hillside.
Oh yeah, but now that you say it, I have seen that, yes.
Come in many forms, but there's always at least one. They're normally larger than all the others, so I just always assumed that they were the tomb of a wealthy family.
I actually assumed that too.
But their true purpose is much more bizarre.
Wait, how was the other one bizarre?
It's called a receiving vault, and it's a pretty ingenious solution to a problem that we've almost completely forgotten about. Death in colonial America was obviously a problem, but it was a real problem if it happened in the winter, because the ground was frozen solid. So since you couldn't
Oh yeah, you cannot dig then, of course.
bury the body, you had to store it somewhere until the ground thawed, which is where the receiving vault came in. Essentially a giant refrigerator to store bodies until the ground had thawed enough to bury them. They found other uses as well,
How
though,
interesting.
from storing remains while funerary arrangements were made, to overflow storage in epidemics when people were dying faster than graves could be dug.
Oh my gosh.
Looking at this and imagining how many stories ended passing through this doorway makes them more creepy to me than any burial vault. Keep your eyes peeled on your next cemetery walk and make sure to pay your respects. If you think weird stuff like this is as cool as I do, sauce me a follow for more, and share this with your graveyard exploring buddy.
If you grew up exploring old cemeteries, finally some representation. If you grew up exploring old cemeteries, can't say I felt like playing horror games IRL like that before. Clickbait science content is dangerous. I f***ing hate that.
I love a good clickbait science post as much as the next guy, but this video is a great example of how making a post about real science look like this can do a lot more harm than good.
Scientists have found a hidden prehistoric world beneath Antarctica. In the time of Revelation, and Revelation means to reveal. Don't say Antarctica just so ice. I don't know ice. There are like tropical parts of Antarctica where there are volcanoes at. As soon as I saw this shit, I dove deep. If you don't know who Billy Carson is,
I know who Billy Carson is. He's a complete conspiracy wingnut. And is further proof that the thing about diving deep was just a complete lie, because that's not even close to what this is saying. That's more the fault of this post because it's literally setting people up for failure. It's talking about this study from 2023, where scientists use remote sensing to see through Antarctic ice. They found remains of plateaus and rivers and valleys that have been buried underneath this sheet of ice for 30 million years. The other irresponsible thing about this post is showing this forest, and is leading this person to say the same thing that all these conspiracy theorists say about there being a lost hidden jungle in Antarctica. All of that comes from a misunderstanding that Antarctica used to have a tropical environment up till around 50 million years ago, because the climate was much warmer and the continent itself was literally farther towards the equator. All that gets crunched together in this post. It falls into the hands of someone who's a
They say they've been diving deep, but literally the only diving deep that they've done is just like reading other people having this theory and being completely wrong. That's like the only thing that they've been reading.
the victim of pseudoscience, and they turn it into a video that gets 4.5 million.
And the most frustrating thing about it is like you go into the comments of videos like this and then you see people truly believing this, and it's just so sad.
And so in the end, it
fucking
doesn't
hate
even
it.
matter what the actual fact is here, because the comments are filled with people talking about how it's the Garden of Eden, how
Exactly this.
scientists have been hiding it from them.
Yes.
Science communication is important, but bad science communication can do catastrophic damage.
It pains me so much to see people like that in the comments, man.
If you think science is as important as I do, you should
That is...
toss me a follow for more, and share this with a friend to ruin their day.
I wouldn't do this to my friend. That's too much. I cannot do that to my friends. I've known Antarctica has had an ice-free tropical zone full of dinosaurs and a white guy since I was a child. Marvel Comics told me she mistook one of the Ice Age movies as a documentary. What if snow didn't melt?
Boo, glacier jump scare.
Oh
You
no,
ever
I'm
ask yourself
scared.
what happened here? Was all this
I actually never asked.
underwater or something? How did it get covered in that much ice? It's good thinking, but not quite. See, glaciers aren't really made out of like the ice cubes that you have in your freezer. They're actually made out of snow. They develop in places where snow accumulates faster than it melts. You've probably seen a snowstorm before, and they can be pretty intense.
Yeah.
Now I want you to imagine if that snow just never melted. Year after year, it just keeps piling up. As these layers build, it starts to get really heavy. This causes the layers of snow at the bottom to start to compress, ultimately being literally squeezed into a sheet of ice. Put into perspective what these layers added up to, the Laurentide ice sheet was more than a mile thick in some places. It was so unbelievably heavy that it literally compressed the crust of the earth underneath it, and there are parts of North America where the crust is still rising in a process known as isostatic rebound. Since these are made from frozen atmospheric water rather than just surface water, as the layers compress, it it also preserves tiny little bubbles of air from the exact day that the snow fell, which is how scientists are able to use ice cores to learn about our past climate.
Wait, that is so interesting.
If you also get excited about weird stuff like this, you should sauce me a follow for more. And send this to your friends so I can hit them with the classic boo glacier jump scare.
The classic glacier jump scare. New Milo video opens, glacier jump scare, scream. Ancient horse skeletons are strange.
You can beat a dead horse to water, but you can't look him in the mouth. While that may be true, it's even harder to figure out the color of a dead horse. So how do we know the colors of extinct horses? See, the Northern Hemisphere used to have a ton of native horse species, but they had a really bad time once humans showed up who introduced them to their mortal enemy, the sharp stick. And so nearly every species of horse was hunted to complete extinction. While our ancestors left us with an awful lot of horse bones, they also left us with something else. A ton of cave paintings.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. We just left drawings.
What's really amazing about these paintings is that they're not just artistic representations. And modern genetic research suggests that these paintings show accurate colors and patterns of these long extinct horses. But this one is probably the most strange example. This one's called the dappled horse, and it's from a cave in France. This is a pretty unusual pattern for a horse, so for a long time archaeologists thought it might be an artistic representation. But genetic evidence has shown that this is an accurate representation. That some of these ancient horses actually came in this black and white leopard print. An adaptation seen in other animals that helps them blend in snowy, forested environments. But this is probably the most haunting part. Nearly every single wild horse in the world today is a feral descendant of domestic horses. But there is a single wild horse species left in the world that was never domesticated.
Which one?
It's called Przewalski's horse, and it looks like this. There's only around 2,000 of them left in the world, and their similarity to those ancient paintings is striking.
Yeah, they are similar.
It gives me chills to think that here I'm looking at the last of its kind, and almost the same thing that our ancestors were looking at when they made these paintings more than 25,000 years ago. If you think this stuff is as cool as I do, you should sauce me a follow for more. Send this to a friend so I can confuse them by saying, you can beat a dead horse to water, but you can't look him in the mouth.
Very, very ancient humans hunts horses nearly to extinction. Less ancient humans. What if we sat on a horse instead? 25,000 years ago, teenage girls were covering the walls of their rooms with horse drawings, just like today. The mountains in meteor craters explained.
The Earth is a giant water balloon, and I can prove it. This is a meteor crater in Arizona.
Hello.
And this is a meteor crater on the moon.
Hello.
Now look at them next to each other.
I'm looking. Okay, I've looked.
Do you see something strange?
Well, the one on top looks like a bowl, and the other one looks less like a bowl.
That one has a mountain in the middle of it. So what is that mountain? Well, it's right
Okay, I did not realize that.
in the middle of the crater, so maybe it's the meteor. That's what I always thought as well, but it turns out it's actually something that is even more bizarre. There are two different kinds of craters, the simple crater and the complex crater. This is kind of your stereotypical
Oh, see? But I was right. That one is more like a bowl, and the other one isn't.
smooth one with a rim, and this is the weird one with the mountain in the middle. And you'll notice from this scale bar that this one is 10 times the size of this one.
Oh, yeah.
Simple craters are formed by a small impact, while complex craters are formed by a large impact. And that's why these ones have a mountain. You can imagine a simple crater sort of like a bullet striking a metal surface. The two brittle surfaces collide and leave behind a pit. But when you're dealing with impactors that are miles in diameter and moving at tens of thousands of miles per hour, all of that gets thrown out the window. Instead of a bullet hitting a piece of metal, it's more like throwing a rock in water. The immense energy from these impacts causes the normally brittle ground to become like a plastic. And as all that material collapses back in on itself, it pushes up in the middle. The crater floor flattens, and this splash is left behind in the middle in the form of a peak ring. Even though it's buried, you can see it here in the impact that killed the dinosaurs. Frozen relic of an incomprehensible moment that the Earth was something between a solid and a liquid. If you like weird stuff like this, you should sauce me a follow for more. And share this with a friend to tell them,
Physics, when you get extreme skills in any metric, stuff gets weird.
finding a conspiracy video where the person in it debunks themselves is one of life's little pleasures. It's like a clean towel or a fresh oyster. See if you can spot the contradiction in this clip.
This sarcophagus is said to have been discarded in ancient times because it's a cut that's about 3 feet long that was just ever so slightly off-center. So here's why this doesn't make any sense. If they used copper saws, they probably would have realized they were off-center long before getting 3 feet into the cut, which tells me that whatever tool the ancient Egyptians used had to have been operating at a much faster rate.
Well, to be fair, when I'm cutting something, I only realize that I'm cutting off the center when it's already too late. This is a real drawing, right, from back in the day. If they were using power tools, why wouldn't they just draw that they were using power tools, right? Or am I saying something crazy right now? Like, what reason would they have to not just draw the power tools?
Probably heard this one because conspiracy slop accounts repeat it constantly. The fact that none of them seem to notice that it completely contradicts the point they're trying to make is proof to me that conspiracy theorists are the real sheep. The claim is that the ancient Egyptians had some sort of advanced cutting technology. The proof being how would they have gotten this far into this cut on this unfinished sarcophagus if they were using a copper saw? This is all stupid for several reasons. One, we have no idea why this sarcophagus is actually unfinished.
True.
Conspiracy
Maybe someone said, never mind, we don't need it anymore.
theorists will tell you that it's because of this cut, but we have absolutely no proof of that whatsoever.
Actually, that line isn't even straight in the first place. You see it? It's not even straight.
These were massive, expensive projects. It's like attributing an unfinished construction project to someone cutting wood to the wrong length. Two, it's not actually off the line. You got what, like 1/3 of an inch of drop over those 3 feet? And that brings me to point 3, the most important one that I cannot fathom how these people don't see. But this is actually evidence that they didn't have advanced cutting technology. Because if they had fucking power tools, they could finish this cut in like a minute. By the time they put this thing down, they'd already put hundreds of man hours into it. Even has the audacity to show an image of an Egyptian using a copper.
That's what I'm saying! If this is a drawing from back in the day, then why the f wouldn't they just draw the fucking power tool?
Saw in his video. Now, I'm not saying that this would have been easy, but what I am saying is that people who think ancient cultures needed power tools to achieve these things have soft hands. This video is like way longer, and I found it while doing a deep dive into the horrible world of TikTok conspiracy slop, which I just made a whole YouTube video on, so if stuff like this cracks you up as much as it does me, you should come check it out. YouTube channel Miniminuteman. We're almost at 3 mil. See you there.
I don't understand it, so therefore it isn't true is the most annoying and most used argument these days. Yup. An image of them using a copper saw. The Egyptians literally left a how-to picture. I love it when it's too slow and takes too much work, becomes our support for why doing it traditional way is impossible. It's literally the only thing is it's too slow and it takes too much work, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible. It's so stupid. Check out the stick.
Hey, check out this stick is a sentence that should always be said very slowly.
It should.
Since you're here checking out this stick, I hear you ask yourself, is that the oldest stick in the world?
Yeah, I'm definitely asking. Is that the oldest stick in the world?
You know your way around a stick. I respect that. It's actually one of 10, and these aren't just any sticks. They are the oldest spears in the world. And the things that they tell us are truly insane. They were found at a site in modern Germany and date back between 300,000 and 400,000 years. Meaning that these spears weren't even made by our species, either made by Neanderthals or these guys called Homo heidelbergensis.
Hi, Homo heidelbergensis.
We think about these guys like they were just a bunch of primitives, right? But these spears beg to differ. All but one of these were made out of young spruce trees. The points on all the spears was made from the base of the tree where the heartwood is the hardest. They would even offset the soft pith from the point of the spear. They even put effort into aerodynamics by tapering the ends of the spear and keeping the center of mass around the front third like a modern javelin.
They're smarter than me.
Modern experimental archaeology has shown that these things can fly more than 60 feet.
Ooh.
And the piles of butchered animal bones found alongside tell us that these weren't just sharp sticks. They were sophisticated, technical, and lethal weapons created by our distant ancestors who walked the earth more than
Is this why guys like sticks?
300,000 years ago.
Because we liked sticks even before us.
You also get excited about weird stuff like this. Sauce me a follow because I got plenty more. And share this with a friend to tell him, hey, check out this stick.
Stick expert here. Yeah, that's a pretty damn good stick. Ancestors knew what was up. The primal urge to pick up and inspect a good stick is truly one that transcends space and time. I'm happy to see the wow, a cool stick gene is cross-species compatible. Honey, you don't understand. It's our ancestors 300,000 years ago that were already collecting cool sticks. I'm just perpetuating the family tradition.
Hi! If you like the video, please make sure that you like it and subscribe to my channel and turn on notification bell if you want to see more of it. I also go live on Twitch and on this YouTube channel, so come join us sometimes. Bye!